Hey, what's up everyone? It's Knifey here. So today I've got another build for you. So let's go ahead and just get right to it. Today I'm going to be talking about the Elemental Druid, specifically the Wind Druid. And so, yeah, here it is. We've got Druid selected here on our planner. And let's go through the skills. I know Wind Druid is a pretty popular build. So let's do it. Alright. So, for the first thing, we're going to be an Elemental Druid, right? So we're going to go in the Elemental tree. This is going to be our main path. But also, you may need a few of these fire abilities while leveling. Especially like these two. But eventually, you'll be able to go to the Wind build, okay? Now, the Elemental Druid, the Windy Druid especially, is special because he can do basically cold damage, which is wind damage, the hurricane, right? And actually, the tornadoes are physical damage. They count as physical damage. Yeah, so that is pretty cool, all right? Because he's physical and cold damage. So that's why I really like the Wind Druid. He's got two strong abilities that can take out pretty much anything in the game, except for a physical immune and a cold immune, which does happen. Okay, now for the elemental, or for the shapeshifting tree, we're not getting any of these because we're going to be casting spells. So yeah, we don't want to change form because we're going to be limited in some of the spells that we cast when we change into bear or druid form. Okay. For the summoning abilities, we actually do pick up a few summons here. We go with these. So you're going to want just a grizzly, an oak, and a poison creeper, just for the slight small poison damage buff to debuff rather to enemies. Okay. Now, since we are a Wind Druid, this is going to be our main ability, Hurricane. And this is going to be our main kind of single target kind of spam ability. This is our main AoE. And this is our main kind of single target ability. Spam ability, rather. Okay. Now, for this build, we do want to max the synergies as well, such as Twister. We want to max Cyclone Armor as well. Okay. Because this is a major synergy, and this is going to be a huge defensive skill for the Wind Druid, okay? And then we're also going to want to max Oak Sage here, okay? So your last skills in the build, let's say you want something like this to go into level 80, 85 or so, and then your last points finish off your synergy to maximize your damage, and boom, you're gonna be level 95 or so, and then your build, this build in particular, would be done. So this is the Wind Druid, the skill setup for it. My particular setup, probably many others as well, but this is what I found to be the best, in my opinion. Okay. Now, for the gear, we're going to be going with, for the helm, actually, we're going to go with the Jalal's main. And this is because of the strong, because of the +2 skills, okay? The hit recovery, the defense, the strength and energy, the resists, and this is really, really nice, okay? Mana after kill. Since we're going to be Elemental Druid, we're going to have some slight mana issues because we're not so mana stacked in this build. But that's why I like to go with the Jalal's main, okay? You could even upgrade this to Dream Spirit for your more defense. That's going to be even more stacked defense. Alright? And we can socket this. My top pick is going to be a burr rune for this, for the Jawlals. But I know that's kind of tough to get, and it's not totally necessary. But I like to burr it up because we need a tiny little bit of damage reduction. It would be the same as a Shaco, basically. With the you know, as a Shaco has a 10% damage reduction. But then again, we're not necessarily strictly magic finding, okay? And we're gonna have tons of life from Oak Sage and stuff like that, so we don't really need the mana, right? So that's why I recommend just going with the Jawlals here. Okay, with the burr. Okay, now for the amulet, you know how it is. We're gonna go with our classic with the Maris Kaleidoscope here. Okay, and for the armor, you're gonna want an Enigma. You can go with an Archon plate, but honestly, for the Elemental Druid, it might be better to get something with like a tiny bit less strength requirement. So maybe like even a Dusk Shroud or like a Wormhide, something like that would be better. Okay. So yeah, and you'll see why we want this later. If you can manage the strength well, then go with the Archon plate, of course. Okay, but as you can see, we don't really need to max strength in this build, so it might be better to go with just something like a Dusk. Okay, and I'll show you why in just a moment. Alright, for this, we're gonna go with just kidding, we're gonna go with a Heart of the Oak here. Not the other item I was gonna almost search for there, but we're gonna go with Heart of the Oak here. Okay, and a flail. You won't need superior or anything in this, because it's not really gonna be hitting with it physically. Maybe durability. But you won't be hitting with it, so it doesn't even matter. It would just be a convenient thing. Okay, for the Heart of the Oak, we need the mass skills, the cast, the life replenish. It does have a tiny bit of mana increase. And then, of course, you want these resists. 40 is the best, of course. What can I say? It's not a wizard spike, but it's pretty good, and I believe that the plus skills, especially in this druid build, are worth it. So that's why I actually go with a Heart of the Oak here, as opposed to my normal choice, which would have been a wizard spike. But actually, we can do Heart of the Oak here, if you wish. And I believe it's going to be the best choice there. Okay. Now for this, we're going to go with the Monarch Spirit. Classic. And you can always superior this, because this defense you would want to increase. Alright. So, cast rate. The cast rate, honestly, is not going to matter so much with the Wind Druid here on the Spirit Shield. It actually is not going to matter, as you can see, as much. Okay? Depending on your weapon setup. Right, you can get away with a low cast rate, okay? But not super low. Just the variable on this is not really gonna matter. Okay. So we're gonna go with Mage Fist because we want the mana regen here and the cast rate, of course. Okay. The fire skills is good for leveling, but yeah, we mostly want cast and defense and mana regen, and we could probably upgrade these fully, okay, eventually, as you can see. So we're gonna do that. Alright, for the ring choices, you're gonna probably want a Raven Frost, okay? And that's gonna be for the cannot be frozen effect, okay? And dexterity doesn't matter really. These two are okay. We could use the mana, of course, and the cold absorb, but cold absorb isn't entirely useful in at least in the end game. Unless you're killing Ubers, there's really not enough cold spell damage from enemy monsters that it'll kill you. So you don't need cold absorb really, just for something like bell runs, but it's good to have it. Okay, so for the Arachnid Mesh is going to be your belt choice, okay? And you're going to really want that for cast and skills and the mana. For the ring choice, this ring slot is pretty open. You can go with a Stone of Jordan here, or a BK if you want to stack life even more. Or you could even go with a dwarf, okay, and then just stack fire absorb, you know, if you're really struggling with some fire resists, and get a nice damage reduction there and gold boost, okay. But my recommended choice is going to be the SOJ, because you're going to really want this mana boost, okay, and then of course the +1 skills. So for the boots, we're going to go with the Sandstorm Trek. Okay, you can get an ethereal version of these since they do have auto repair. It's one of the only uniques, one of the few uniques that is good to get ethereal version, okay? So this is going to be our boot choice, and that's because of the strength and the vitality. And then it does have some stacked poison resist, but yeah, the run walk and the hit recovery are going to be the main things here, okay? On top of just having stacked defense, especially for the ethereal version. Okay, for the charms here, it's going to be an Annihilus, of course, and a torch, a druid torch. Alright, so that's going to be all of our items set up, and yeah. Let's go ahead and give ourselves a weapon swap here, because we're going to want a call to arms. We can go with a crystal sword here, or let's go with a flail, just to keep it flaily and consistent here. Okay? And you're going to want just any junk spirit, really, in a monarch or something. Ethereal, just to signify it's a junk one with lower strength requirement. And that's going to just be used for casting our battle orders, okay? Now let's do our stats, because we want to make sure we have enough here for everything. Okay. So we will need a few points in strength here. Okay. Maybe about 20 or so. Okay, so as you can see, that low strength requirement on the Dusk is going to be one of our foundation blocks, okay, to give us that strength boost that we want. So with that Enigma and with this plus 74 strength boost, of course we're level 99, we won't exactly have that much strength boost, right? But since it's based on level, but you will have a good amount, a 60 or so strength, okay? So that's why I say go with the Dusk Shroud, okay? And then this is going to give a small amount of strength. Okay? And then that should be enough strength to wear everything else. Okay? So just about a few points in strength here to wear all of our gear. We don't need any points in dexterity. And then about 488 points into life. Okay? And that's going to be ours. Whoops. That's dexterity. No dexterity, guys. No dexterity. we're gonna be going. That's gonna be all going into vitality, okay? And we're gonna have a lot of life in this build, a lot of life. All right, so let's look at the full calculations here for the sequence. Okay, so we switch to our call to arms. We're gonna go battle command, battle orders. Boom, switch back. Summon our poison creeper, summon our oak sage, activate our cyclone armor, and summon our grizzly. Boom, we're all set. We're all set. Now, as you can see, this build is going to be giving around 5k life. 5.1, 5.2k with full perfect gear. Yeah, this build is a 5k life beast, okay? It's got ton of life replenish, okay? We're going to have some stacked mana eventually through all of our gear, and then just a tiny bit of mana regen. But as I said, we're going to have mana after kill, so that's going to be nice to help us regenerate our mana. Okay, so for charms here, the one thing I do want to point out is that our fire resist is a bit struggling, okay? Struggling a bit. So what we're going to want is some fire resist charms. This is just one small aspect of this build that is just hard to get around because Spirit doesn't have any fire resist. So just try to stack some fire resist charms. That's one of the things that's important with this build, okay? So just get a couple of these. Alright. And boom, you'll be covered in the fire resist with just a couple charms, alright? Now, there's another charm that I recommend getting, and that's gonna be defense charms with life, okay? Something like this. So these are gonna be the two types of charms I'm gonna strongly recommend for this build, and yeah, that's gonna be it. That's pretty much all we really need for the elemental druid. Just a few fire resist charms, a few defense charms would be nice to just boost our physical defense. And yeah, that's gonna be it. You can always add elemental charms for damage and for life. Okay, of course these are expensive and hard to find, but they're gonna be the best grand charm choice. Okay, we don't really go magic find on this build, despite having around 100 magic find with Enigma. It's just not a magic find build. Okay. This one is not. This is going to be for DPS, for leveling, okay? For getting max level, just grinding end game monsters with friends, stuff like that. That's what this build is about. Alright, doing bail runs, casting your hurricane, casting tornadoes, okay? So that's why I like this build, alright? As you can see, we're not really a max block build, okay? Since we're softcore, we're just going to be focusing on stacking like the life here and some other defenses such as resists and damage reduction, okay? But as you can see, we got the 6 frame breakpoint for faster hit recovery, and as we can see is our cast rate. We're at the 11 frame cast rate breakpoint here, okay? So yeah, so for the Mercenary choice, you can, I'm going to recommend the Nightmare Defensive for the Holy Freeze Aura, for that AoE slowing effect. But for the Mercenary's Helm, whoops, you're going to want to go with an Andes, of course. It's the best Merc Helm. And then, of course, you can go with the Raw Rune, or my personal top pick, if you can find it, is going to be the Ruby Fire Resist version, Jewel of Fervor. Alright. And then a Fortitude armor. And then, of course, as you know, we've got a guide on how to ethereal bug these. You can check that out. It's one of my other videos. Okay. And then, of course, ethereal bug will not allow you to have superior, so can't have superior. Now, for the elemental druid, so for the weapon choice, I'm gonna recommend actually going with insight just to kind of cover your mana totally. Because if you're spamming tornadoes really fast with your high cast rate, you might be burning out of mana, especially if nobody else on your team has an insight, or if has a merc with insight, or the paladin with meditation is not available. Then you would want to focus on maybe using an insight on your merc, okay? Because like I said, mana is a tough problem to have, okay? And if you don't have any mana regen, basically a 10 base mana regen, with not much mana regen percent in general. Yeah, so I say go with the insight on the Windy Druid here, okay? And that's going to cover every aspect. You'll be pretty tanky, have insane amount of life here, especially with those extra charms and whatnot. And yeah, that's gonna be it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this build. I'm gonna save it, of course, like I saved all my other builds. And you can check the link in the description below. If you like this build, please give it a like. And if you enjoy my channel and any of my content, give it a subscribe. I'm going to be streaming Diablo 2 live on Twitch. And you can find me in the evening around 6 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Central Time on there. And I'm on Twitch. Go to twitch.tv/Knifey and you can find me. And also, if you have any ideas or suggestions for builds, go ahead and write them down below. And also, thank you for coming by, and I appreciate it. And I'll see you in the next one, guys. Peace.